August was quite possibly the best month I've had for film this year. I managed to catch up on some old classics that I somehow hadn't seen yet, as well as a couple of newer films that just blew me away. Now, if you want to look past my top 10 films I watch every month, you can check out my Letterboxd linked below, where I watch a film every single day. Just don't judge me if you see the Cat in the Hat in there for the 15th time. Manhattan is one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. Don't worry, I'm not talking about the story, because that's possibly a bit too close to Woody Allen's personal life, and we all know what happens there. But it was Gordon Willis's cinematography that just left me in awe. Every scene, shot, and frame was just perfect in how it was composed and lit. I felt as though I couldn't take my eyes away. The use of black and white also made me look at Manhattan in a new way. I've seen films set there in black and white, but never in this kind of light. It felt like every frame was a painting. Or photo. Okay, yeah, it lives up to the expectations. Once Upon a Time in America is one of the best films I have ever seen. And I think, like everyone, I was putting this off because of the runtime, and this is now officially the longest film I've ever watched by a minute. Well, until I get around to Satan Tango. But it was absolutely incredible. The story is enthralling, but actually feels quite complete. The performances were outstanding, the score perfectly completed the gorgeous cinematography, and I actually don't feel as though it could have been any shorter. If you're planning to watch a long film this month, let it be this. Much like how I mentioned in my video earlier this month surrounding the cinematography of The Tree of Life, I see this film more as an art film than a movie film. You could play it at MoMA or the Tate and it wouldn't look out of place. Now, I will say the main reason I love this film so much is because of the incredible cinematography by Lebesky, but both the performances and story are incredibly strong as well. It's kind of the start of this new wave of Malick, and I'm all here for it. I think it's safe to say that Persona was the best and most influential film I watched this month. I'd seen bits of it, watched scenes for inspiration, built mood boards containing it, but never really sat down and just watched it. I was in awe the entire time though, and I don't think it's possible for me to watch another film as powerful in the world of filmmaking as this year. I will say Bergman Island sparked my interest to watch more Bergman, so I'm very thankful I watched that last month. Following Persona, I watched The Seventh Seal, another outstanding film from both a storytelling perspective, but also a visual one. Now, I first remember seeing Death from The Seventh Seal in Bill and Ted, which is a fun Easter egg, but I'm glad I finally got around to watching the real thing. It's not my favourite Bergman so far, but it's definitely up there. So I've been meaning to watch Road to Perdition for months now. 1 because it's Sam Mendes, 2 because it's Tom Hanks, and 3 because it's shot by Conrad L. Hall. And it's that last one that made this film such an immersive and impressive watch for me. The cinematography is one that I've seen shots of everywhere, it makes the list of most beautiful films of all time, it tells a story, and is incredibly influential to the thriller photography. Of course, the story is solid too, and it's really the only time we see Tom Hanks play a bad character. I don't often put a documentary on these lists, but The Thin Blue Line is one of the best I've ever seen. It not only exonerated an innocent man from life without parole, but it also started a new movement for shooting documentaries. Now, this style of interviewing is famous to Morris. Basically, it allowed for the interviewee to talk directly into the camera through the use of a teleprompter, which we had seen before in different pieces of media, but never in a documentary. Not only is this an incredibly important documentary from a social standpoint, but also from a filmmaking one too. So if you're stumped on what doc to watch next, look no further than this. I think it's obvious from the video I made on Wednesday, but Nope was one of the best films I watched this month. It's a fresh take on an age-old genre of aliens, establishes Jordan Peele as a horror director, and contains some of the most beautiful cinematography shot by one of the best cinematographers of this generation. And if you want to learn all about the techniques that Hoyt van Hoytema used, check out my video linked in the top right corner and description below. It's taken way too long for me to get around to this, but I'm so glad I finally watched Paris, Texas. I'm not really sure what I was expecting from the story, I guess a thriller, but it just being a drama was a really nice surprise, and it makes for a relatively easy watch. I just can't stop thinking about the cinematography though. The use of colour alone is one of the best I've ever seen, but I just can't put my finger on anything else. After a bit of research, it turns out Robbie Mueller used minimal equipment, so I think I'll be trying that out sometime, and it was truly an incredible experience. I've professed my love for the Before trilogy time and time again on this channel, and after watching over 1,700 films, nothing has really come close to it, until I watched 303, or 303. Now, I think the best way to describe this film is a European before Sunrise, which obviously Sunrise was set in Vienna and stars a French actor, but it's still quite an American film. More about why I think it's incredible though, it just feels so authentic. Well, as authentic as a drama can be. There's more structure than Before Sunrise, the characters are reasonably similar, but also quite likeable, which is important when you're about to spend 2.5 hours watching them. This is by far the least known film I've talked about today, but deserves to be known and talked about so much more. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, not to if you did, if you have a recommendation for an analysis, leave me a note. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!